In Romans 13, the thing that really stuck out to me starts in verse 8, where Paul's talking about love, and he frames it in a different way that really I don't think a lot of us think of it that way. It's almost like it's a currency, because he says, owe nothing to anyone except for the obligation to love one another. And, thinking that through, owe nothing to anyone except the obligation to love one another, right? If we borrow something from somebody, if we, money or whatever it is, we can always pay that back. We can always give it back to them. And then we say, we're good now, right? We're even. Everything's good. But when it comes to love, we really can never do that. We can't love someone enough. Just think about that. No matter how much you love someone, you can always love them more. And then he goes on after this and starts talking about love relative to God's requirements of the law. And he lists off a few different things in the 10 Commandments. And if you follow those things, love fulfills the requirements of the law. And think about that, because we know for a fact that no one can live up to the law, right? That's why we needed Jesus, because he was the only one that could fulfill that law perfectly. But yet it says here, love your neighbor as yourself, because that will fulfill the requirements of the law. So if we could just love our neighbor as ourself, if we could love our neighbor enough or good enough, that would satisfy the requirements of the law. And you might say, we wouldn't need Jesus. And that, I think, is the essence of why it's so hard for us to love one another, right? Jesus knows how hard it is, that there's always something we're holding out on, because a lot of times, most of the time, we love ourselves more than other people. That's our human struggle, is pride, right? I mean, that's what happened with Satan. He thought he was better than God. And he's like, hey, I'm going my own way because I'm better than you. A lot of times we want to be God. And this verse takes us right back to that simple truth that there is only one God. There is only one Jesus who's good enough and who loved enough to not only, he saved every one of us, didn't he, through his love. We couldn't even save ourselves with our love, but he saved the whole world by his loving self-sacrifice on our behalf. So, man, that's really a different way of looking at love that just came upon my heart. I just wanted to share it with you to maybe look at it that way, that no matter how much we love, it's not enough, but we need to keep trying to love our neighbor better, because that is what God is asking us to do. And we'll know him better the more we can put ourselves aside and put others first and love them. So just focus on that this week, and maybe try and put some of that bitterness and self-centeredness that's inside us all aside, and just encourage and love on somebody else this week. We'll catch you next week on Wednesday Wisdom.